we had to do three things to stay alive. Number one, wear a mask. Two, social distance. And three, most importantly, get vaxxed. In fact, the vax push was so intense, people lost their jobs over it. You weren't allowed to refuse the shot. Why? Because it saves lives and it stops the spread. At least that's what they told us, remember?
The various shots that people are getting now cover that. You're okay. You're not going to get COVID if you have these vaccinations.
Our data from the CDC today suggests, that vaccinated people do not carry the virus, don't get sick.
If you get vaccinated, you are protected, even with the Delta variant. The vaccines we have do protect well against the Delta variant. So if ever there was a reason to get vaccinated, it's right now.
Well, it turns out none of that was true. We now know vaccinated people can catch and spread the virus. But apparently, COVID czar Deborah Birx knew this all along.
I knew these vaccines were not going to protect against infection. But let's be very clear, 50% of the people who died from the Omicron surge were older, vaccinated.
Well, this would have been nice to know before thousands of Americans were fired over the vaccine. Did someone gag Dr. Birx with one of her own silk scarves? Because she isn't the only one saying things could have gone differently. Dr. Fauci has a confession too. The doctor who makes more than the President of the United States regrets that he didn't lock us down harder. Listen.
Anywhere from 50 to 60% of the transmission occur from someone without symptoms, either someone who never will get symptoms or someone who is in the pre-symptomatic stage. Had we known that then, the insidious nature of spread in the community would have been much more of an alarm, and there would have been much, much more stringent restrictions in the sense of very, very heavy encouraging people to wear masks, physical distancing, or what have you.
More stringent? We closed the entire economy and shut down the schools and wouldn't let anybody throw a wedding or invite family over for the holidays. But Fauci thinks he wasn't tough enough on us? Fauci wanted to go full China. Everybody knows you never go full China. Dana Lash is a nationally syndicated radio host and Substack columnist. I mean, Dr. Birx, let's just start with her. She knew the whole time that you could take the vax and still get infected, and oh yeah, you could spread it too. That is a huge admission.
Yeah, Jesse. Yeah, that's a huge admission. I'm not actually shocked, though, by this. I'm not shocked by any of this. What does shock me is the past that these people are receiving, I think, from the general public in terms of criticism. We watched this doctor, Jesse, get up day after day during the coronavirus task force, here, the press avails. We watched her and Fauci and so many others talk about how important it is to get your vaccine and double boosted, triple shot, whatever. But even further, I mean, there were people who were screamed at in the stores that they didn't even wear a face covering. There were people who were told that they were murderers. I mean, that's ultimately what the President of the United States intimated when he suggested that this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated. Democrats were out there using language, calling people who did not get the injection murderers, making fun of people who were citing their natural immunity, like me and my family, because we got it nature's way. I mean, the division that was shoved onto the lap of this country from these talking points from doctors, people who are healthcare professionals that we are supposed to be able to trust. So not only did they lie to us, but they lied to us knowing the division that it would cause. And now they think they're going to clear their conscience by coming out now and say, oh, well, we understand that it wasn't going to have the impact that it was. Jesse, you were right. People lost their jobs. They were canceled. I lost friends because I didn't get the injection, even though I already had natural immunity. I mean, all of this created to this great big division in the country. And all they have to say is, well, shucks, gee, we realized that it didn't actually have a grant immunity like it was advertised. That's unacceptable.
Do you think that the companies like Pfizer knew that the vaccines didn't stop infection and didn't stop transmission, and they either kept it from Fauci and Birx, or they told Fauci and Birx, and Fauci and Birx didn't tell the American people?
I feel like all of these people are in the same handbasket to hell, quite honestly. I mean, it really does. I don't trust a single one of them. I think that everyone was aware, simply because I don't think that you can be involved that much in day-to-day operations with managing a pandemic for the United States of America and not be aware of exactly what's being developed and what immunity, if any, it actually brings to the people that are getting it. I never begrudged anyone for getting the injection. I also didn't just decide to turn my back on hundreds of years of established science where it concerned natural immunity. But at the same time, these are the people that were brought out to us that lead these departments. Jesse, you just cited that Dr. Fauci makes more than the president of the United States. And singularly, he's done as much as this current president to bring divide to the country because of these false claims. It's one thing to say that it's going to help alleviate your symptoms. It's another thing to lie to people and say that it's going to bestow upon you this universal immunity to this virus, because it didn't. Words have meanings and they mean something, and we need to get back to that. The whole thing infuriates me. And I will say this, I'm glad, Jesse, I'm so glad that our president recovered from a virus that most of Americans, when they contract it, recovered from. Now, can all of the rest of us that have had natural immunity and have asked questions from the beginning, many of us were canceled or people lost their accounts on social media, when do we get the big national apology from these folks for putting the country through this?
Now, you're never going to get that. And we're never going to find out how much money Fauci's making in royalties from vaccines. Well, he won't tell us.
Yeah.
He says
No
it's none of our
disclosure.
business. Maybe we can get to the bottom of that when Republicans hold hearings after November. Dana, thank you
Hey,
so
Jesse,
much.
imagine telling the IRS that this April.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Doesn't work that way. All right.
Thanks, Jesse.